Hello, everybody. Happy Monday afternoon. Somber Monday afternoon, but a Monday afternoon nevertheless. Hope yours is going as well as it can. We just hit 1,620 subscribers to the YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all the subscribers, old and new, once again. Please like the video if you haven't already. If you want daily Seahawks content on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Click the join button down below to become a member. And today, in this video, we will be going into the third part and final part of a series of Monday videos that I started about a month ago. Pillaging the bottom feeders of the NFL. So, about a month ago, I gave you 8 teams that looked like they were in the middle of a race to the bottom. Those 8 teams that just needed to shed their veterans, needed to shed some players at the end of their rookie deals, needed to just get rid of some of their guys that still had something left in the tank. And then 2 weeks later, I gave you another 5 teams that might be on the verge of wanting to dump their talent and just try to get in a good position for a big draft pick and try again next year. So today we're going to mop it up. We have 2 late, very late, but nevertheless, 2 teams that have entered the potential fire sale sweepstakes, and we need to go over them because last night, I mean, we already knew this. If you watch this team, you already knew this. This Seahawks team has problems. We probably need to make a trade. We probably need to get some better players. So, these 2 teams, what can these 2 teams do to help the Seahawks? All right, first team we're going to take a look at here is the New England Patriots. So, they're 2-4. They've lost 3 games in a row now. The Bills now have a 3-game lead in the division, effectively. They just got embarrassed at home by a 49ers team that isn't even playing that well this season. Cam looks like he's shot. Stidham, we'll see if he's any better. Yeah, nothing good going on in New England right now. The last 3 games have been a tire fire. And if they lose one more game, you can pretty much stick a fork in them, and they might already be ready to concede. Now, it is New England. They do have a great coach. They do have a lot of great structure in place. They might not be willing to throw in the white flag no matter what. But in my estimation, it's probably time for that team to start looking to see what they can get for some veterans. Now, unfortunately, in terms of helping the Seahawks, I don't really see much on this team. I went through this offense. You can maybe make an argument for N'Keal Harry, but I think N'Keal Harry is a bust. You can make an argument that he needs a change of scenery or a new team, but I don't think the dude's any good. Damiere Byrd is interesting if you just want a speedster who's never been productive in his career, but we already kind of have that in Philip Dorsett. I mean, they have good players on this offensive line, but I don't see how any of them really move the needle for this team. So I don't see anything on their offense. Defensively, there really isn't much. I mean, there are rumors that Stephon Gilmore's on the trade block, but Gilmore is a man corner and we play zone. So I don't think he fits this team. So the only guy on this whole defense, the only guy on this whole team that caught my eye is Adam Butler. He's a defensive end in their scheme, but he would probably be a defensive tackle here. He was developing as a pass rusher these last 2 years. In 2018, he had 3 sacks. Last year, he had 6 sacks. He played about half the snaps, like 47% of the snaps for a really good defense. So he was progressing, he was coming along, and then so far this year he really hasn't done much of anything. I don't know what's going on. He isn't playing as much. He's only playing like 40% of the snaps, and he's not being very productive or disruptive. So Adam Butler, not exactly the most intriguing guy, but he's the only guy I could find on this whole roster that I really wanted to try to trade for. So you can make an argument for a couple other people, but for my money, if you want to trade for some guy from New England, Adam Butler is really the only guy. He's on a cheap 1-year, $3.3 million contract, real easy to take on. Maybe he can help a little bit, but that's it for this team. All right, one more team, and we're going to be done with this series because the trade deadline's in 8 days, so there's really no more time for anybody else to get involved in a fire sale unless they're just punting on the season when they don't really need to be. A team like the Lions that are 500, they can look at the division and say, hey, we're not going to make the playoffs this year, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to punt. The Dallas Cowboys, the final entry into the firesale sweepstakes. 2-5. They're down to their third-string quarterback now, Ben DiNucci. Their whole offensive line is injured. Their defense is starting to get injured. Yeah. I did not think there was going to be a realistic scenario where the Cowboys would ever become trade deadline sellers, because that's just not the way they do things, but the Cowboys are the worst team in the league right now, and that includes the Jets. If you look at the way the team has played over the last 2 games, no team is worse than the Cowboys. So if they are not trade deadline sellers, then that is the peak of delusion in the NFL right now. They are the worst team in the league based off what's happened the last 2 weeks. So what can they do for the Seahawks? A little bit. Let's go over some guys here. So offensively, I don't really see that much. I don't want Zeke's overpaid bum butt. I don't want Amari Cooper's overpaid bum butt. I don't want any of these offensive linemen that are either injured or old or overpaid or not very good. You know, Zach Martin obviously is an all-pro right guard, but no point to have him on this team. Tyron Smith's on injured reserve. The only guy that I think we could use that I think Dallas would give up is Michael Gallup. And hear me out on this one. Michael Gallup, young, I think he's 24 years old. He's very productive. He had 1,100 yards last year on 66 catches. Very good, very talented, big play receiver. He was on pace to have a very good 2020 until Dak got hurt, and now obviously nothing good's going to happen because he has no QB. But Gallup is kind of in an awkward situation with the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are kind of in an awkward situation with him. He's going to become a free agent in 2022. I think he can hold out this coming off season for a new deal, which he might do. He's produced well beyond his rookie contract. The Cowboys have already given $100 million to Amari Cooper, and they can't really get out of that contract right now. They've already given $90 million to Ezekiel Elliott, and they can't really get out of that contract right now. They're going to have to give, CeeDee Lamb's obviously the future. They used a first-round pick on him, and he looks like he's going to be a future, super good rookie, super good receiver. So they know they're going to have to pay him. Dak Prescott, they know they're probably going to have to franchise tag him or pay him this offseason. That's a lot of money. And then you roll that into the other big contracts they have that may not be coming off the books yet, like Tyron Smith, Zach Martin. And then you have guys on defense like Jalen Smith. They don't really have the money to keep a Michael Gallup. So they're looking at letting Michael Gallup go in free agency for nothing in a couple years. So given the fact that the Cowboys are looking like they're going to go 2-14 this year, and who knows about next year, they might just decide, let's get some assets for Gallup now while we can. Let's try to recoup some draft picks. So I feel like there's something there. He would be expensive because he's young and talented and productive, but there might be a little something here that could help this offense because Gallup's a very nice receiver. And he was producing very well with Dak, and I think he would produce very well with Wilson. So that would be kind of the home run swing here. Other than that, we're going to go to defense now. I don't have any interest in DeMarcus Lawrence and his overpaid bum butt. No interest in Jalen Smith and his overpaid bum butt. Leighton Vander Esch made of glass. No, thank you. There are a couple guys here. No Don Tyree Poe either. That dude is beyond washed up. But I think the Cowboys can probably do some things for us at the defensive end position that would help. So let's go through some guys here. First guy, this is kind of an easy one, Aldon Smith. The Cowboys should be begging to get some assets for Aldon Smith. He's probably not going to be there next year because he's only on a 1-year, $4 million deal. He's going to probably get a big contract this offseason. So if you're Dallas and you know this season is shot and Aldon Smith's not doing you any good, you just want to get rid of him. And we should be definitely banging the phone line really hard to try to get a guy like Aldon Smith on the Seahawks. He's got 4 sacks and 11 QB pressures so far this season on a terrible team. So let's make something happen there. He'd be cheap, not a lot of risk involved. He would immediately be the best pass rusher on this team. It just makes way too much sense. And another guy that makes way too much sense for very similar reasons would be Everson Griffin. We did not sign him in the offseason, but now we have the opportunity to trade for him. He's on a 1-year, $6 million deal. So far this season, through actually just the first 5 games, I think he has 11 pressures and 2.5 sacks. So he's been pretty productive on a terrible team, and he's another player. The Cowboys have no use for him. He's not going to be a Cowboy next year, probably. The Cowboys are terrible this year. He's the definition of a veteran. They just need a dump to get some assets so they can go into 2021 with as many draft picks as possible. You can get him very, very cheap, and he'll immediately become one of the most valued pass rushers on this team. So Aldon Smith and Everson Griffin both in similar boats. The last guy, I'm not really into this one so much, but Randy Gregory, he hasn't really played football in almost 2 years, but last time he played football in 2018, he was actually pretty good. He had 25 QB pressures in 14 games and 6 sacks. And he was developing. He's the definition of a knucklehead. He's already missed 2 full seasons in his career. Maybe it's 3. He's had so many drug problems in his career. It's not even funny, but that's not such a big concern now. So if you're the Cowboys and you're looking at this guy, like maybe you just want to get what you can for him and move on. And maybe if you're the Seahawks, you can steal him for a really low pick because he hasn't done anything in almost 2 years. So there's probably something there. He's clearly talented, just kind of a knucklehead. But at this point, that's not as big a concern as it was. So those are the guys that I see from the Cowboys. I definitely think it makes all the sense in the world for us to acquire either Aldon Smith or Everson Griffin. Randy Gregory's a little bit more of a, I'm not crazy about that one, but there's definitely something here. And if the Cowboys do not become deadline sellers, then I know they're technically half a game out of the division, but that's the worst team in football right now. It just is. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for this 3-part series. I can't see any other teams entering the fire sale sweepstakes. We'll see about it after next week. Maybe something weird will happen, but that's going to do it for this 3-part series. Peace out, go Hawks. Who do you guys want to trade for? Do any of the players I mentioned in this video intrigue you? What do you think? I'll see you guys later.